Okay, it started. You want to do your little clap?
And we are back.
Do you want to do your little clap or whatever to sync up everything?
That's good. Everything's good, I think.
Okay.
I'm suffering through lag, which is weird. But we'll see.
Well, I'm at the yes menu, so...
I'll be doing that today.
I'm at the yes menu, so just tell me when.
I'll restart it. It's being weird.
Okay.
Right, stop that. I was having lag with virtual art for some odd reason. I had this issue yesterday. Everything's running the same as yesterday. Let's try it again. Load core. And I'm obviously using the same core, so nothing's changed. Load content. Unless I gotta change OBS. Maybe OBS is under a different. And it's under screen capture. Just give me like 30 seconds and let me just check one quick thing.
I'm enjoying the music. Luckily, it's a music that, doesn't get super annoying when it repeats. Hello, fans. How are you guys doing today?
Okay, that should be good. Let me make sure it's loads now.
Let's see.
It's weird having lag. It just you shouldn't be having lag. Okay, guess virtual art decided it was going to close on itself and not open up. That's nice. And then I notified me that it's crashed. That's always nice. I like when it does that. Like load content and just completely just closed. Yeah, I'm not gonna even like, hey, I'm dead. Alright. Beautiful. Okay. 3, 2. Well, pretty much I'll go 3, 2, 1. I'll hit record and I'll wait about 5 seconds, and then when I speed, that's pretty much where I cut it.
Okay. I mean, I'm already streaming, so.
Yeah. You don't got much of a choice. Okay. And we are back. I hope. We're back. I hope. Maybe. We'll see. We'll try.
Okay, I'm at the yes menu again.
Alright.
Tell me when you're ready.
Okay. Alright. 3,
2,
2,
1, go.
Go.
Okay. And my mic's kinda in the way, but it's not too bad. I can deal with it. I just can't see the bottom half of my screen, but it's fine. That's not the important half of my screen. You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. I'm just off.
If you don't mind, if you can position your mic just a little closer to your mouth, and just a pinch. If not, just my audio. And the game audio is just a little louder than.
Give me a second. You just want to get the head start. I get it. Whoop. Whoop. There we go. Better?
Yeah, I'm dealing with a little bit of lag. I don't know where it's coming from.
Do you want to hold off on this?
No, we're good. We'll go through it. It's not lagging enough. It's not lagging bad like before, but there is lag. I'm like, okay, I don't. I think nothing's changed. I mean, it could just be retro arc, and I don't want to really.
Now I'm not even able to see your stream, so I have no clue how it's being recorded or whatever.
No, we're good. We'll just go through it. I mean, Or maybe, I don't know. I'd have to compare it to the last part to see exactly if it really is lag, but I mean... The problem I'm having right now mentally is I don't know. I know what I needed to do! Let me just... You're good, you're good, you're good.
I know I'm good.
I was... where I was going to go that spot. I was like, I need to be where I was. Okay. Take two. Unless I really should have closed Steam and then reopened it, maybe. It's the only place I think where the lag's coming from. When it wanted to completely notify me of all this stuff that I don't need. But I'll be fine.
I just gotta get back into the delay of this controller in this game.
I need to check here. Silly me. I forgot I'm recording and I'm not actually streaming. I'm sitting here like I need to make sure like chat could verify it for me if anyone's watching. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be streaming and I can echo. No one's gonna answer back.
Yeah.
That's fine. I think I missed my exit again. I think I'm just so off right now. Yeah,
Dang it. Well, we're gonna pay again.
Okay. I haven't touched none of my audio settings. You must have had yours set up different because I can barely hear you.
I'll crank it up once I'm done with this. Can you hear me now?
Not really.
Really? You can't hear me now?
No, can't hear
Hello?
you. Did you change mics or something?
I just went up 100% gain.
Oh, the lag is so bad. Oh, the lag is so bad.
Do you want to hold off?
Oh. Oh. I don't know. Just want to adjust my audio settings. I'm trying to think, did I touch them today? No. When we stop playing... I don't know. I want to keep playing, but I know I just...
I mean, if you want, you can hold off.
I come too far. Obviously, this is going to be a problem I'm just going to constantly have, so I need to just work through it. I think he's still coming from Steam, though. I think that's where all the lag came from, because there's no... Nothing's changed. Unless Rushworks is doing that thing, as I've stated before, where it'll... On my computer, it'll do this thing where, like, you'll have like 2 or 3 straight days where you'll have no issue with it, and then you'll have just like a random run where it'll just decide it wants to not work normally, and like, you know. Okay, well, you're going that way. Unless, maybe it could just be the stability of the ROM, maybe?
I mean, my ROM runs perfectly fine.
I'm just speculating, just like my computer can't pick up where it last left off and everything just be oh hunky-dory. Oh, come on, I didn't do that, come on.
Well, I know your audio coming out on my end is a little, like, jaggedy right now.
You fool! Oh, that lag. Oh, yeah.
You sure you want to continue?
I'm debating.
Do you want me to stop doing what I'm doing as you're debating?
No, you're good. Yeah, if you don't mind, I don't know. Let me do, if you give me like 10 minutes, let me like reset everything and then try again to see if it'll pick back up.
Okay, so you want me
But of
to...
course, if you don't mind, it's like stop, because, it's one of those things where, okay, let me click that. Click. Obviously, we need to use this. I'm gonna quit Steam and then fire it back up. Hopefully that fixes the issue.
Okay, I'm just gonna run in circles.
That's weird.
Hmm.
I closed that out and you're still speaking. It's weird.
Hello.
Weird. Let me.
Let's see. Make sure everything... We got Deku sticks, we got Deku nuts, we got that. We don't have the bow, but we somehow was able to do that without the bow, so... Bow and choose that. We do have beans. Got to mock the beans. We do have beans. We have 3 beans. We have the second progression of the weird egg. Or third progression of the weird egg. We actually have 15 Scorchos. I think that's that. Now, is the black one back? I'm predicting not. That's what we should need to do. We need to go do that. We need to go back in on the song. So that then we can do that and we can progress forward. Let's see, is he... Oopsie. I don't think he's online right now. Oh, I'm waiting for him to join again. If I run across. Interesting. So apparently if you run, your hover boots won't work. Oopsie, wasn't supposed to do that. Whoops. We just won't tell him that little bit happened. Where is he? Nope. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for him to return. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're just gonna do no progress movement, okay? We're just gonna go around and do nothing that would actually progress the game. Maybe stuff that would decrease my game. I wonder. I wonder if I can get there quick enough. No, not grabbable. Well, I guess. And there he is back. We can at least, let's see. So we got an update. He is currently having his laptop update. So we're gonna actually shuffle this around a little, and we're just gonna have to. I'm just gonna have to cut it, okay? So saved it there. We're gonna play around with a couple of things. Let's see how bad this is gonna be to shuffle all this. And if you have any questions on why we're doing all this, we can explain it by saying he did it. Okay? Sounds like a plan. So let's boot up some things. Okay, I need. Why am I? Okay, thank you. Quit. Quit. Okay. Let's set up some things for you guys. And I'm sincerely sorry for this. But if I'm gonna play, I'm gonna play fair. And we're just gonna have to deal. Okay? So, let me get this up and running, and then we'll figure out where to go next. Okay. Get this running. Okay. I need to interact with this real quick. There we go. Once the advertisement's over, we're going to be good. And then I guess I should really rename the thing we're doing because we're no longer doing it. Okay. So that's saved. Okay. Might not be change of plans. I am sincerely sorry for you guys. I bet you feel like I'm just yanking your leg back and forth, but promise me, you guys are in the same boat I am in. Okay. Well, let's go back there. Let's minimize that. Let's open up our Steam chat again. Okay. Luckily I didn't close out of this. Interact with that. There's that. Got Steam chat open. Got you guys open. And we're just sitting here. And we almost died again, but we didn't. Nope. Okay. Ooh, that could have been bad. Nope. Nope. So you don't get hover with it though. How about this? Oh, backflipping. Nope, no hover. But you do get hover with forward motion, like rolls, which is interesting. It's an interesting side effect. And it's night. Yeah, my hover is like the groans of the re-deads. Okay. I'm waiting for you. Dang it. For whatever reason, I thought I would hover over the hole, but nope. I can get an infinite amount of useless pieces parts. If anyone's wondering what we're doing here, we're waiting on the blackened one. Their computer had an issue, and I can't really progress the game and keep with the race if I'm progressing beyond them. Hey, look who it is. Are you there?
I
Good?
hope so.
So I'll tell you
Fine.
what all happened, okay?
Okay.
I got a heart, and I believe I lost a heart from falling, so there should be no difference. Plus, time progressed, but I'm predicting time progressing isn't that big of an issue, since we're most likely off sync anyways.
Probably, because I think both of our times were set up for random anyways.
Well,
Alright, let's try one more try here.
well, it's less on us being random, but if you're in a town, time doesn't move, and if you're out of the town, time moves. So.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Actually, great point. Because you're right. In theory, it shouldn't really matter.
Yeah, it's more just so that at the start of the bridge getting to the Hylian, or what is it? Clocktown Bridge.
Okay. And then I think we're going to be good. In about like 45 seconds, whenever this darn thing loads. Now, confirm for you.
I figured out what the sound for my hover boots is while you're gone.
What sound?
It's like undead or re-dead's groaning.
Nice.
It's so low that I didn't recognize it for a while, but.
Okay, it's not you. It's actually OBS has decided it wants to like grab the steering wheel from my audio.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. And then I pull all my audio, sound up, and then my entire laptop decides it wants to completely freeze for about 5 seconds. So, okay, that's cool, don't me. Alright, speak please.
Hello.
Okay, good, a lot better. There we go. Like I said, because for some odd reason, it wanted to just like grab the steering wheel and say, okay, this is how we're gonna do it. By the grace of God, we should be ready to go. Just give me about 45 seconds here to try to catch back up, and then I'll release you from your torment. Not moving.
Ah, so you can do that. That's interesting.
Okay, it's weird. I don't know. Yeah, we're good. We're good. You can move again. You're good.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm good. Lag's practically gone. And I guess I was probably just dealing with it yesterday, and it's throwing me off. Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
We're good. Return to game.
Sorry for like the 30-minute delay, guys.
Oh my goodness, something's wrong with something, man. You're good. I mean, you're good. You're good on your end.
You sure?
Yeah, let me just my audio. It's being just like you wanted to speak, and then there was like a bunch of crackle. I'm like, why is there? Why?
Well, I'm getting a lot of crackle on your end, so. But I'm not gonna give you more problems than you already have.
It's like someone's drowning you. I don't know what's causing like the bad lag spike. I don't know. It's gotta be Red Shark. It's just I don't know.
Are you still having it?
Yeah, but we'll just go. I won't hold you up anymore. You're good. Just go.
You sure? I mean, we could do plan B.
The problem is, if we do plan B, I don't know when the next time will we be revisiting this game is the issue.
Most
I don't want to
likely,
revisit.
most likely in like a month. Dang it.
I don't know. What do your viewers think we should do?
Well, I had one, but they disappeared.
Oh, I'm so sorry. The first thing they were like, he's not moving.
Oh no, I was like running in a circle and stuff. I found some neat properties. But
Yeah, if you don't mind, let's go to plan B.
go to plan B?
Let's just go to plan B.
Okay.
Alright. Let's give it like 45 seconds and I'll slide over.
Okay. Whoa. Don't want that. Well, everyone, I can't get Link to face the camera, but I guess this will be plan. We're heading off to plan B. See you guys.
My apologies.
Next time. No, I want to say that. There we go. Okay. Because again, I'm a good person, and I'm not going to cheat the blacker one out of an event. That would be really nice to have known not to do. But, off to plan B. Okay, and I got Twitch already up, so we're gonna hopefully do a nice transition here and get transitioned. The black one is already online. Are they still in the chat? I don't think so, so we're gonna end that. We're gonna get them on a group invite so that we can hear him. Hello.
Okay. I think potentially maybe what could have caused it or why I had lag, maybe because I now had a 3.5 gig video file on my computer, maybe.
That shouldn't cause that much lag, if any.
I really think it was just more RetroArch. I mean, I was probably just having a bad run where it was just being bad. And then like I updated my computer, and then Steam was like, "Hey, we need to update too." I'm like, "Oh, that's cool.
So
That's great."
what game are we gonna do?
I'll let you pick. See,
I'm
this is the
telling
bad
you,
things that
you
happen when I
choose. You choose.
Pollination?
We could do Risk.
I saw that too. I'm like literally staring at Risk, and I'm like, we could do Risk.
You
Let's
want to
do
do
Risk.
Risk?
Let's do
I mean,
Risk.
we've already taken enough Risk tonight.
Yeah, literally. I guess that could be the ironic twist to what we're playing.
Okay, let me move all my stuff over to here. Assuming that it can be streamed.
It should. It's Ubisoft, and I know
Yeah, it's
they never
streaming.
stream all the assets.
Or Twitch
I'll make
is
sure you're
just
streaming
throwing
an
in.
actual image.
Or Twitch is just throwing another ad up.
That's what I was gonna say. Make sure it's actually streaming an image, because you can technically always stream, but the image might not ever come through. Like they
Just-
want to hear you speak.
You just always stream. I'm not playing a game right now. I'm watching YouTube. You can't watch it with me, but
But you can hear my reaction.
you can hear my reaction and try to guess what I'm watching. Oh, that might actually be fun. I'd have to play around with that and see if I got enough people
Like-
watching.
like Twitch can't do it, obviously. Twitch won't let you stream other apps. But like YouTube itself might let you stream itself within itself.
Well, no, I'm saying I wouldn't even have to have Twitch up. It would just be me watching YouTube with like headphones and stuff on, so they can't even hear the video. And it's literally just my reactions. I might have to get like a really long distance webcam and put it on top of my TV, so it's just me sitting there reacting to videos that they have no context of what the video is. But no, it's actually showing risk.
Okay, risk.
I'm a level 8 risk player. We could do a round of Risk, and then a round of Monopoly, and then a round of Trivia Pursuit, and then a round of Uno.
I actually wouldn't mind Trivia Pursuit. Like I said, casual game night. It ultimately came full circle to what you initially suggested. Alright, streaming in 3, 2, 1. Okay. Hopefully, everything's how it should be now. Back to normal.
I mean, aren't you getting your new laptop in like a couple of weeks anyways?
I think August.
Oh, well, again, a couple.
I think it's August.
By the time I get back, you'll have it.
That's... Ooh, can't connect to Ubisoft server. That could be bad.
Uh-oh.
Come on. Come on now. Boy, today's just a bad day.
Mine can.
Odds with technology.
Okay, do you want war domination, capitals, or secret missions?
I'd probably want to try secret missions because I saw that the other day.
It requires 3 or more players to do.
You could do bots. You could do bots.
Okay.
Load up all the bots.
Do you want to declare territories at the beginning, or do you want it to be automatic?
This would be automatic.
Continuous or adjacent?
That's for placement, right?
Yep.
For movement. I would rather it be adjacent. That's my personal preference because I like the concept of you can only move where your where your pieces are.
Okay, so there's that. Who do I invite?
I'm still connecting to Ubisoft server, so you might have to give me a minute. I think my console got lost. Unable to sign the start. This could be bad. I don't know, man. I don't know, man.
This is just not your night.
It's really not. Okay, good. Maybe nope. Maybe nope. Nope. Get in the server again. Let's try again. Third time's the charm. I guess what I could do is, since I'm actually on Twitch now, I can actually pull up my pull up the still connecting, man. This isn't going to fly, man. This is naughty. Oh my goodness. I might have to put Risk on ice. Go try another game. It's just so bad. Yeah. And you're sitting there like you're on it. It could be worse if it told me the servers were down because then I could be like, you lie. You was a liar. You lied to me. This is just... I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. I'm actually gonna slide over to Trivia Pursuit, maybe. Man.
Join my game.
I would love to join your game, but I guarantee if I join it, I will end up crashing my console. I can't join what doesn't exist.
You're like that one guy in Good Omens. I'm not a computer engineer. Everything I touch is broken. That was a weird message. I got a message that said you were added to Risk.
I'm still gonna use off servers. Yeah, thinking that's about a time your game doesn't exist.
And I'm waiting for player.
Alright, I say we go another 40 seconds. If it doesn't work, we slide to another game. Hey, we try another game. Gosh, so bad. Maybe it's doing that thing where I guess if you try to log on so many times within such a short amount of time, it just like freezes you and says, nope, you wait. Like it times out or whatever.
Okay. I don't want to leave yet because I want to make sure that you don't come in and it be like, oh, look, the game's gone now. Gone game.
I'm still connecting, so like, so it's going to slide over. Try something else again. Man, just a bad night. Bad night.
You're still connecting though.
I'm still connecting, but I'm not going to connect though. In about like 45 seconds, it's gonna probably chime me up a message that says, "Oh, can't put any connection to your game. The servers are down. They don't work. We don't like you." Try again later would be, the more adequate message, but no, no, that would be too much logic. Jump off a bridge on a marathon. Come back later.
Yeah. It seems like tonight's just torturing the Blackenedone with games.
You want to play games? No. What's next?
You sure you want me to go to check the next thing?
Yeah, let's go try the next game.
Okay.
Even though it's technically Ubisoft server, so maybe it won't work. Access denied. Okay. Oh, that was fortunately a short stream. Yeah, stick around. Y'all can follow me over there to the other game. Yep.
What do you want to try? Monopoly, Trivia Pursuit, Scrabble.
Yeah, let's do Scrabble. I mean, I probably won't even be able to get the Twitch to get it started before it crashed. Okay, so into that stream. Let's try. We're gonna ultimately end up playing like Call of Duty for like 30 minutes at the very end. Nothing else works. Okay, let's try. I want to do Trivial Pursuit. I was like in the mood to play that too.
Okay, we're gonna switch over to Trivia Pursuit. I mean, I guess you have Jackbox games. We could do that.
I scrolled that and I was like, we could do that.
Maybe since I'll be getting back on a Friday, maybe sometime that weekend we could do it before I go up to my next trip.
Nice. Sounds good.
It's up to you if you want to do 1 hour or 2 hour version of it.
Okay, I thought Trivial Pursuit was downloaded. Where did you go? I mean, it's like a rather small game. Let me see. There it is. Found it. Yeah, that was a small game. I was like, I scrolled, I didn't see it. I was like, that's not good.
Okay. Xbox Live. Let's do 5 rounds. Let's do private game.
I mean, like, worst case scenario, because it's... Yeah, oh no, it wouldn't even launch. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Like, it launched. It did like the thumbnail. It had a loading screen. And then they kicked me all the way back to the Xbox main menu. Like, oh, that's great. That's man, you're jinxing it. Like I said, worst case scenario, I'm gonna go play a game later, and it's gonna have like your save data is corrupted. Enjoy playing this again, loser.
You know what game it's gonna be?
Yeah, I know. I was getting that. I was like, if it's gonna be Fallout.
Oh no, not Fallout. It's gonna be one of those games that you had a series on. Fallout would be a good candidate, but I think it's gonna
don't
be.
Jinx it. Ooh.
I think it's gonna be. What is the game? Oh.
Yeah, Resident Evil or Saints Row.
No. What's
Voodoo events ain't that long.
It's not, but I know you don't necessarily like it.
Good point.
Where,
It's not great. It's not bad.
where if you had to go back and play it, it would be tedious to you.
Exactly. I mean, this is where we're ending. That was a good run, guys. I'd probably finish it. If there was demand for it to be finished, I would obviously do it. But
I would make artificial demand. I would give it artificial demand.
Like 6 burner accounts, like play the game.
I'd go on Reddit and be like, best YouTuber ever. Definitely ask him to continue.
Okay, good. I did join your game. I was like, I am in your game, right?
Yeah, I
Wait a
see.
second, let me pull Twitch up. Am I twitching? I don't know. I'm not twitching. That's just how out of
Are
sync-
you twitching?
How bad everything is. Yeah, literally. Okay, we're doing Trivial Pursuit. Is it Trivia Pursuit or Trivial Pursuit?
I just put in a night of disasters or something and just called it a night. Everything is broken.
Exactly. I'm like,
Because I have to change the thumbnail every time. So I'm like, I'm not going to change the thumbnail again and again and again.
Okay. I should be good.
You should be?
Good.
Are you going to go Justin Bieber?
It's not my preference, but I know you like the other ones. So
No, I'll go Josh.
It doesn't ultimately
It
matter.
ultimately matters. It's a progression. You have a progression system in this game.
But not for the avatar. Though.
No, for the
For
avatar.
your personal stats.
No, for the avatar. You get custom skins. You get to hear more of their backstory.
Oh yeah, backstory. Oh yeah, this game's got backstory. Boy, we're in quite the pickle, aren't we? Wow.
It actually has an entire tech tree.
Upgrade tree. There we go. That's what we need.
Because you know what I missed in Trivia Pursuit? The upgrade tree.
Okay. Let's cut all those off.
Cut all what off?
I just got a bunch of like notifications zooming across my phone.
Mm-hmm.
Quick starter.
I really feel like there's such a limited differentiation of modes here that it feels like it's the exact same sequence every time in this game.
It's not. It varies, but it doesn't vary. Like I said, there's not enough there to it for it to be. Ooh, Harvey Dent. Carriage right there. Did not play? Obviously that. Duh.
Aw, I had no clue.
I didn't know who played him in the Dark Knight trilogy. I didn't know the name of the actor, so I was like, I know it's not Val Kilmer. Because he was Batman. I knew he was Batman, so I'm like, yep, obviously that guy.
1997. You and me both should know this roughly.
I think it's, the name's familiar, but I have no idea.
I know it
You can feel the
wasn't.
breadcrumbs in the back of my head where I'm like, I know what this is. I've heard this name. I don't know.
Like, I know it wasn't Doom.
Right. I think Quake was Doom sequel. Or what spawned Quake. I'm sorry, this is my luck.
I was like, I hope you choose the right one here.
Well, I didn't know if that was... It said like Sunken Island. I'm like... Like, I knew it wasn't Pompeii. Pompeii was a city covered by a volcano. Donkey and a horse. I know. Oh boy. Yep.
No, it's a stallion. I didn't know the other one. I didn't know Henny is a female donkey and a male horse.
Knowledge is power.
Until it's used against you.
Let's go with arts. Victor Hugo.
Go with that one.
That's where's my gut here. I didn't think it was I knew it was a Phantom of the Opera. The name didn't mesh in my head with it. I was like, that doesn't sound.
I wonder how many people are gonna accidentally click on my thumbnail and be like, "What is this? I don't remember this in Ocarina of Time."
Oh, you never changed your original thumbnail?
No.
Hey, awkward.
So they're gonna go into this and be like, "I don't recall this in Ocarina of Time."
You get to pick.
What's the closest planet to the sun?
Oh no!
It's Mars!
No, Mars is the second. I lied. I lied.
You did lie. I was about to say, pretty sure there was one before that.
I wish I could remember. I wish I could remember that acronym.
Or at least
Like Fat Kings play chess on green stools or something, you know.
I think it's the cassette tape.
Yeah, it's cassette or VHS, right?
Well, I don't know what they classify as a zip drive.
I'm guessing that's thumb drive, maybe.
That's what I was thinking too, but I was like, I don't recall ever hearing that called a zip drive.
I remember it being used in high school.
Oh my gosh, the longest pregnancy?
Oh boy. Don't pick the one that I want to pick. Please don't pick the one I want to pick. You're running out of clock. Ah, must be the elephant, obviously.
No, I think elephants have actually... Oh no, it was an elephant.
I was thinking, like, the bigger the animal, the longer the pregnancy for some odd reason. Is what my brain was thinking.
I was...
Is it the longest or the shortest?
I thought the elephant had a 3 month, but...
Well, it's an Asian elephant. I guess maybe they were specific.
Which geological period started the earliest?
Earliest.
I believe it's that one.
No, yeah, I think you're right. That one maybe.
No.
Oh. I was with you. That was the one I was gonna pick.
And since I did so bad at history, let's go more history. Earliest founded. I think it's that one.
Let's go with that one.
It's one of those two. I don't know which. Yes, I was. I think 1800s seem pretty early. London is a long-age city. Let's hope it was a city and business in London.
I was just thinking, hopefully your Roomba doesn't kick on.
No, kicks on at 9.
Darn, you should like run that sucker like early so you can actually hear what I'm talking about through the stream.
No!
You'd be able to then tune in and say, oh my goodness, it is really loud. It's insane. Because then you'd understand.
And my
my
views would drop significantly immediately. They'd be like, "What's this?"
By the way, if you don't mind, there's like wind feedback. If you know what's causing that, if you can try to
Turn it off.
put a rubber band on the sucker.
Put a rubber band on it. I'm pretty sure that would be bad. I can turn my mic down and maybe that will help. I don't know how good my audio is now, but
it's one of those things where like when you would stop talking, I would hear. And it's fine whenever you stop talking, because as long as you keep speaking, you're fine. But the moment it went mic silent, it's like.
Is it better now?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, now the question is it good on my audio, but I'll have to test that later.
It should be, because you haven't gone up or down on mine. Like down maybe?
I was like, it's either yellow or green, I can't remember. I remember the scene in the book, but... Okay. My computer's so far away from me. Open up OBS and check the audio.
I know that your audio on mine hasn't gone up or down. Like you're right on cue. So unless you're.
Who's in love with the president?
That's the only show I know of.
One. Drama. Okay, let's quickly check OBS. Where's OBS? Hello. Let's see if the audio is good. It's not too bad. I'm gonna crank it up a little.
Take a look in a book.
That should be good. Found in Africa, south of Sahara, type of bird pictured here. It is definitely the bald eagle.
Obviously. Aha! Context clues. Oh no. Oh no. You're about to lose connection to me, bud.
Why?
I don't know. I know my laptop just lost internet connection, so.
Well, I still hear you.
Right now you do. I think the Wi-Fi to the console is running on just literally. Because I'm still house sitting, so I'm not even technically home right now. So it's one of those very funny scenarios where I'm not on my home internet, and like the internet's got like this tendency to just randomly just like. That could be running, flat line for like 2 seconds, and then run.
Well, we're gonna find out. Like I said, it's a nice night of disasters.
And it's not getting any easier. It could just be my laptop. My laptop could just, like, for some odd reason, deciding it wants to. Okay, it's back online now. Weird. I don't know.
I have no clue.
Try to speculate. Ah.
I had no clue.
Okay, because your heart's got rhythm, it's got a beat. Let's go back to art. I buried fruits last game with it. Or last time. Swahili!
I know he went on safaris, I believe.
My heart has, like, my heart tells me this.
I was like, I know he went on safaris.
You remember Swahili from Ace Ventura.
Was asked at
scientist.
the age of 73. You broke up
Okay,
completely through that.
That broke up.
Yeah. Your audio like cracked.
Yeah.
Either that or you just became a man. I guess that one. Nope, dressage.
Dressage. Like, picking it, I was like, odds are it's going to end up. Man, like, my first choice was that one. Second one was racing, and my third choice would have been that. But then my brain goes, odds are it's going to be my.
You're breaking up again.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Either that or you're becoming a man.
Puberty's really hitting me now. Wow, we're going such a far way. All I know is I am beating you. Are you over there jiggling your Wi-Fi so you know I might lose connection to you? Is that what you're doing?
No.
Just tap your Wi-Fi box, you know?
I'm trying to figure out how to get views. I might sell myself soon.
You said to get views.
Mm-hmm.
I know that one.
Superman's part of the
Good
DC
choice.
comics.
Obviously, we're gonna go with the obvious one, Aquaman.
Oh, I don't know. I'm pretty sure.
Flash.
No, she's not. Interesting.
Shazam!
Robin's not. What?
I know Cyborg is.
Nope. Okay.
Wonder Woman. I didn't even see Wonder Woman's name.
No, I might start advertising more prevalently on my YouTube.
Broadway musicals. That one feels. Nope, nope, I was wrong. So that one feels right.
Nope.
No! Well, it works. That's not the one I wanted. But it works. Ah, boy. This is just... There's where you catch me. Yeah. No. So bad. So bad.
Nope.
Aha. Mine! And goodbye, viewer. Oh, man. So bad. Yay. Come back, Jack. Come back. Philip K. Yeah. I wasn't even. I am doing so bad. I'm just getting these wrong ones out of the way for you. Huh. There we go, finally I got one right, yay! Come on, I've done so good this round. Give me that one last wedge, man. Thank you.
Hmm.
I was like, I want that one wedge advantage going into Final Jeopardy! Fantastic! It is so good! Final question. Round 1. Fight! Aw, man!
I actually got that today.
Huh.
Ooh, I know this one.
Etar. Ah.
I know this one, so.
Oh, that sounds right. I know a piano uses strings, but I don't know if it's classified as a string. Wrong.
Dang it. Oh, wait, that's in that.
Like, I know all the other ones, so it's gotta be this. Piano classified as a string. The rest of them are gonna be right, because all those are blow instruments, or wind, should I say.
I'm sad that there was no violin.
Well, violin's the obvious one. I'm surprised piano was one. I was sitting here like, I don't know if piano classifies as a string. And I guess the
Well, it's
organ
not.
classified
It's
as
not
a wind.
woodwind.
I thought piano kind of had its own class though.
It's
Like, you
not
say
percu-
piano,
It's not
just
percussion.
percussion. It's just, I don't know. I don't know if I'd classify it as a string. Oh man, you got an extra wedge. You wanna know? Come on. Oh boy. I don't know. I'm glad we're gonna win or lose on this one. I think it's wrong. I don't know. Good for you.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, I got a chance. I get a chance. Oh boy. Huh? This is gonna be bad. Bit more charge speed, I shank this one here. I don't know. I know Usher's a singer.
Dang it.
That's what my gut tells me.
I was like, I don't know what head coach is.
Well, cause like, no, I'll tell you, I'll go into it after this round.
Yeah, I didn't guess.
It's like, I can do it, I'm wrong.
I was like, I don't recall which one. I was like, there's a lot of Summer Olympics, and I was like, I don't recall.
But in regards to the voice, supposedly, if I recall how the show works, if I was able to put this together through seeing commercials and advertisements for it, there's obviously 4 judges, and I guess their goal is to buy the contestant in theory?
That's slavery. We abolished that.
That doesn't exist anymore.
I call BS on that.
Well, I'll let you. You know what I mean, though. It's one of those things where they buy their rights or to a deal or whatever. They're linked. I don't know how it works. It's one of those weird things where that's how it works. And apparently, maybe they set people like, for the final. Well, I think it's like you buy. It's one of those like you bid on them and then you win them, and then your goal is to like have them compete against the other singers of, I guess, the other the people who are buying or whatever. And it's like, I'll let you know about me.
Hmm?
You know what I mean?
Hmm?
Dum dum dum.
What do you want to do now?
He said, no, wait for that invite.
For what?
More trivia for
Yep, I get Ubisoft Store was not available at the time. On to the next game. Let's see, what game can we play now?
That's up to you.
Monopoly.
I don't want to play Monopoly. But I'll play Monopoly.
Monopoly. Oh, we actually had the trivia night where I live. We actually had a Monopoly-based question.
Really?
Mm-hmm. What Monopoly piece is most closely related to its mirrored equivalent?
I have no idea.
The thimble. It's
I guess in theory.
it's equivalent in size and function.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good.
I was like,
well,
that was weird.
I'll let you decide what we're gonna play.
You don't want to do Monopoly?
Personally, no, but if you want to, I will.
Okay, we'll just go through the list. Black Ops or Defense
Well, we could do-
Force.
I say,
Fable.
we could play that lovely game that we played earlier.
Fable Fortune. I mean, I guess we
We could play some Fable.
could, but I think I have it already uninstalled. Because I had to make room.
You were like-
I had to make room for the best game ever, Meet the Robinsons.
Yeah. I
Published
guess,
by
I
Walt
guess.
Disney.
Yeah, the greatest.
Yeah,
Man never lived.
Uncle Walt literally designed the entire game by himself. After making the
Alright,
movie,
alright.
all by himself.
Well, I guess it's up to you then.
I hope so much.
Okay. If you want to, we could do what's that one game?
Fallout 76?
No.
Grand Theft Auto?
No.
Golf?
No.
Farming Sim?
Yeah, Mud Runner?
I could do Mud Runner. If you don't want to actually
No.
complete the game. We could do Poor Nation. Poker.
Poker or pool? I'll let you pick.
Or it's not me picking, it's can you even play it?
I say either pool
Or do pool.
or poker.
Or do pool.
We'll do pool. Oh, do
Only
pool.
because, like, poker I've done on this channel. Even though no one's watching it, I do not blame them.
Well, I guess my viewers wants to follow me over to some pool. You know, we'll be over there next.
Do you even have viewers?
I don't know. I don't know. If I do, thank you.
I apparently have 2 viewers on my Twitch, and I have no clue who that is.
I told you they're those bots because you created your account after me. The 2 bots that always watched me are now watching you.
Well, that's great then.
They've left me for you.
I hope they
Hey, you stole my competition,
I hope
see?
they enjoyed the I hope they've enjoyed the experience of tonight.
Well, I've been meaning to ask you. Obviously, I'm watching it through my laptop for comments. Are you the second viewer that's got it pulled up on one of your, on a tab on yours, or is it actually probably an actual viewer actually watching it?
No, I'm not watching your Twitch either.
Okay, so that actually is probably an actual person. That's nice.
Well,
Actually,
1
that's-
point for each.
It's
pot.
probably working, It's probably working. But he's not commenting. Because normally like he'll comment.
Point equal to the ball number for each pot. Ooh.
So let me...
Golf. Pot your object ball in a designated pocket. The winner is forced to pot all pockets. Speed, clear
the
table.
cool thing about... Sorry,
I'm just reading the
monologue,
game modes.
Oh. Supposedly, snooker was supposed to be on there. I don't know if that's actually like...
Yeah, there's snooker.
Okay, cool. It actually was added. I don't know if it
Into
was
frame.
part of the game or if it was like DLC or you had to buy it.
I don't know what snooker is. I've never played snooker.
Either. It's that weird game with like the white pool cue and you got like 9 red balls. I don't know what you have to do.
Well, the instructions say a player wins a frame individual game of snooker by scoring more points than the opponent, using the cue bar to pot the red balls, or the red and colored balls.
Okay, so it is just like okay, that's what it is. Just sink the ball, get the point. That's what that game is. We could do snooker if you want.
We could do killer. You get 1 shot per turn and lose a life if you fail to pot.
Pull F X and I put it with what?
I kind of like the idea of rotation.
What's that? Every player gets a shot pretty much every other turn.
Nope. Earn point. You
Okay.
earn points equal to the ball number for each pot.
Yeah, I remember that game. I don't know the name of the game, but I know that it does exist as a game.
And then straight is you
Nation.
straight is you get 1 point for each pot.
Wow, the viewer's here. Hello. I need to be signed on Xbox to buy this game. I collected my daily bounty. Oh no, I did it again. It's not like a simple click and they give you an X amount of tokens just for logging in. No. It's one of those like crazy like trick shot things you gotta do or whatever. And the viewer left. Come back, Jack. All right, let me just do this real quick. You gotta hit all three all three. Ooh, good setup. Put that down here. Oh god, too much backspin. Oh no. I can move the ball. That's good. Oh, that's good. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
There we go. Like 10 seconds here. I'm just finishing this thing real quick. Oh, I failed. Oh. Oh darn. Okay, I'm good to go now. Just waiting for that in. Am I biting you or are you?
I'm fine either way.
It's up to you. You do it. In the bottom right corner it says, "Thank you for downloading Pollination FX. We'd love to hear from you."
How do I... Whoopsie.
I'll invite you then. I got you. I gotcha. Think. Maybe. Go. Friendliest. I gotcha. I gotcha. I gotcha.
Oh,
You could
online.
do.
That's how.
I got you. I got you. Don't move.
Nope.
I've already got it going.
I already have it
I've
all
already got
set
it
up.
going. Fine, you set it up then. I'll sit here, wait for you, then Captain. Captain.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Try to say my name.
Syllables.
nicely.
Oh, I could buy consumables for real money. Is there a way to actually earn cherries in the game, or? Nope, you have to actually buy them with the real money. It's actually, that invite here. Obviously, we're going to extend it on aiming level, right?
You want to do extended? Okay.
We're gonna have none. I'll offer extended. I mean,
I
not
was-
extended, I mean, champion, my bad.
I was
thought
gonna
you
go
went the wrong way
champion.
For some odd reason.
Hmm.
I thought it, for some odd reason, I thought the difficulty level went from like off, hard, medium, easy. Now it goes off, easy, medium, hard. So like my brain was like, obviously extended is the one we should be doing. Yeah, yeah.
Remember, you want the highest ball in to get the most points.
Yeah, highest value.
And we're both students.
Yes, we are. Yes.
I actually bought this just now.
Nice.
I thought it looked nice.
The cool thing about playing this game online is I get to stuff my face and whenever, just mute myself. I like playing on like my PC where there's no mute button. It's easy accessible. Come on, roll forward. No. And it is rotation based, right? So like after you take your shot, it's automatically my turn next, right?
I'm not sure on that.
Yep.
Wrong ball? Oh, you have to hit the first one first.
That makes sense. That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. It's that game where you have to hit 1 first, 2 second, 3 third.
Boing.
Okay, that makes sense.
Oh, I just cheated.
Aw, poor you.
I don't know where you're aiming. There's only one ball you can hit.
I don't want to hit that ball. I don't want to hit it. I don't want to hit it, Jack.
You don't know what angle you're hitting it at. Oh, nice one.
Kill.
That's the next one you have to hit.
That could be bad. Oh, that's so bad.
You gotta bounce it.
Oh.
You gotta bounce it.
That's not possible.
Or you gotta hit. Or you gotta hit off a wall.
What's I gonna do is just give you a bad shot. Okay, what madness am I being set up with here? Little at a time. Ah! Hey, that might work. Go give me them points, baby!
You don't get points if you score it in the wrong time.
No, I do. You see the check mark? As long as you hit that ball first.
Oh, okay.
You can use the balls to hit other balls in.
Ah, interesting.
Not enough juice. Not enough juice. I don't know if I got the point. I don't know if it's like. I don't. Yeah, I got 12 points. Let's look up the 10 ball in.
Dang it.
Oh man, you're really gonna block me like that?
I hit the one button too high.
You're really gonna block me like that?
Just hit the 11. Man, the
I
11's
was
in.
hoping I was going to go in. I was hoping it wasn't going to do that.
Nope, that's not what I want to do. How do I do this? There you go.
Good luck. Use the force.
Nope.
There we go.
And scratch.
Yard skipping.
Again, I'm waiting for somebody to, oh, you gonna line me up nicely?
I am.
I'm waiting for somebody to come in and be like, this isn't Zelda.
It's a new minigame. Ooh, you scored some shot. There's some points there.
13, nice. That's what I needed. We're just never bring this one in. Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Dang it.
So bad. Good setup. Oh, bad shot. Oh, no.
Oh my gosh. Ah, no, it's not perfect, but... It wasn't as perfect as it looked, but it did look pretty good. We got those 14.
Mm-hmm.
got the 5.
Hmm. I'll give you a decent setup.
Dang it. Let me just give you a challenge. Mm-hmm.
I can do it hit as hard as I can and hope things happen. Darn.
I think you sunk the ball you didn't want to sink.
Mm-hmm.
I can move this. I shouldn't have moved this.
Great setup.
I
See if I
don't.
can sink it.
I don't agree with that, but okay.
Ah, too sharp.
Did I get it?
Close, but no cigar.
Dang it!
We know who is gonna get it.
Not
Oh
you.
no! Not me. Confidence. Oops.
This is 7. Then I'll get the 8. Stop, 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 stop. Good. I think this is 9. Nope. 9's right there. I'm tied right now.
My turn.
You went a little too fast on that. Got a little too
Just a pinch.
greedy.
I blame the angle more than anything, so put a little bit of backspin on it.
Dang it!
Almost.
Yeah. I was trying to backspin into the orange. Nope.
Too hard. Enjoy that setup. A little too hard, skipping. Another bad angle. Doesn't matter. Chip and mate.
And take it. And take it.
Good game. No, you went 5 frames, huh? Or up to 9.
Yeah, I think it's 7 or whatever.
I was hoping you were gonna do more, like the different modes, more than like 9 rounds of one type.
Oh, I don't mind this type. it this one? Oh. Did I knock it? Oh, just beautiful lineup for you.
Ultimately, I don't either. But I'm just like, there's like 9 different modes you could be doing right now, and...
Yeah,
Oh,
you
come on,
suck
I put
at
a backspin on that.
Dang it! I wanted to tap it in and hopefully get another one in. Oh!
Really?
I cheated you. I'm gonna still try to do odd shots. Nope. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Ha!
Must be nice.
Except now I have this shot. Actually, we won't.
Oh, must be nice.
I just carry around with the full.
It's okay, I'll watch you play. I don't know.
Yeah, I lined you up pretty nice there.
I wouldn't go that far now.
And of course, you just sink the queue every time. I can't help you.
No, nice. I gotta.
You gotta get that anger, man. Almost. You at least hit it.
No, trust my eyes on that one. See, the one thing you should have had if there was an option for it would be every time you don't hit the ball, you lose points.
But how many?
Obviously, the only... if there was a set number, just have it like 5 points, maybe. Only reason being because I can obviously see a point where if I don't get like a favorable shot, I could just like give it a little tap, and then if you don't like it, you can give it a little tap, and then vice versa.
And in the horror comes
What's that
with.
BS, man? I put enough backspin on it that it should not have rolled in.
Where am I looking for that one?
Excuse me.
Nope. That's not what I wanted. Might go on the other side though. Nope.
Put myself in the middle of the table here, so let's see what I'm working with.
Yellow now.
Gosh, that's the one.
You overjudge that each and every time. And you lined me up beautifully for it.
Not really.
That's what I was making a joke about that.
Oh, okay. I couldn't tell. I thought you were being serious. I'm like, I. Oh wow, look at that.
They gotta go straight up and come right back down.
As you break your as you break your pull cue and your wrist. You can try and see where it goes. I mean,
Almost did it.
I think you sank the ball. Yes, you did.
It's gonna go straight into the air and go right back down. As I grind my puke cue into the table.
Exactly. Ruining the table, breaking your wrist, and breaking your pull cue. How fun that would be. Juice. Good setup by you. Thank you very much. I can't mess this one up, can I?
But you gotta say that was
Like,
pretty
sinking
impressive
the
that I
dang
did
pole.
hit the ball.
Yeah, that was nice. I would have loved to have seen you do it without having the helpful arc, though. That would have been nice.
Oh, that would have been near
But
impossible.
regardless, still a good.
Eventually I'll play enough pool in real life to have that skill, but. Aww, not enough power. Lovely. Okay. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna have fun with this one because
Just hit all the balls. Just maybe one goes in.
in no real way am I gonna get this, so we're just gonna have a little fun. Nope.
You try to put it in that corner pocket. What are you doing? Someone wants to break their wrist.
Right on top of it.
And get smashed.
Nice.
Come back to
Nice.
And very nice.
Nope. Right on tap. Nope, too much.
Please don't get behind that 10 ball. Ah, a little too hard. That felt good.
I like backing you right against the wall, though.
There we go. Now, if I could have just kept it at that angle, so I could have chosen my poison, whichever one it needed.
Can I make it?
And at this,
And I don't think I can win, so yep.
nice. Oh my god!
Oh, you'll have to go back and watch that. As it was rolling back, it was going into a pocket, and then the other ball knocked it into another pocket. I need it. Yeah, like that.
Yeah, like that, nice and soft, yes. Oh, that's bad. Okay, we're gonna have fun with this one, man. Balls are about to go every freaking where. Oh, they're gonna go everywhere. Oh god, I had to set that one ball. Damn it. Like, I'm sitting here thinking I'm about to like hit like 4 balls.
Oh, so close.
Oh. No short line. Oh, you gotta go over the ball. I'm gonna watch this ball fly down the. I was like, we're about to watch the ball fly. What? No. What?
Really? Come on, if you're gonna mess up, can you at least like give me a chance?
It did that. It did that thing where. It did that thing where if you tap up on the right button.
I just knock all the other balls in.
Okay. Oh boy. Here we go.
What do you need? You need red 3 right against the wall. You're gonna have to bounce it.
How do we ba-dum bum. There we go. That's how we do it.
That is a wicked curve you got coming off that ball.
Ba-dum-bum.
You gotta English that all around.
Why do I adjust the cue? There we go.
Woo!
That's what I wanted.
Now I get to see what it looks like from your angle.
How am I going to pull this off here?
Where are you sending this ball? It looks like it's just about to spin in a circle.
That's what it looks like. Yeah, obviously I'm doing this all wrong here. Let me put that pull key back down.
Oh my gosh, it's making a U-turn now.
Oh man. You know what? Let's just have fun with it, shall we? Oh no, I didn't.
Wow, that was
Hey.
super fun.
It's not good. It was bad. I don't know. There's. Oh man, really? Do it again? Okay.
Do it
You
again.
want the insanity?
Do it again. Whoa. At least hits it.
We're not get the sucker to go up and over here. We're gonna fling the ball here. The sucker is going downtown.
You almost had it though. I'm proud of you. You're learning.
Let me just set you. I did. My brain was like, how do you get it to give you the preview of the angle? I was like, oh, you gotta just hold the power.
Where is 4? Oh, 4's there.
The good news is you only have 3 points. Half the balls are sunk and we've done nothing to sink them.
I
There
could
you go. Yeah, hit it.
just right off the table.
You're gonna hit like, you're gonna put it on that other table, aren't you? That ball's going over there. Oh yeah.
Hey, I at
Yeah,
least.
Saturday is
I at least.
freaking Looney Tunes game are we playing here? You know, Bugs Bunny this table, you know. I got this. I got this. Don't mind me.
Yeah.
Need to pull back down here.
Right onto the floor. Oh, you almost had it.
That's baloney. That's baloney, man.
It's okay.
Not
I'll
once,
help.
but twice. Really? Oh, yeah, enjoy them 3 points. Enjoy them 3 points. I don't want no points.
You got 1 point.
I got 1 point.
Somebody has to start.
Into the hole we go. Yippee-ki-yay. Hey look, I got a shot here. I'm gonna mess this up somehow. Hiya!
Into the hole you go.
No! Oh boy. Oh. Like a boss. This is going to be interesting here. Let's just put you there. Oh boy, we're gonna hit you as hard as we can. You're gonna do some magic, yes you is. Bam!
You got the 8 in. I don't know if that counts points for you.
Jump rolling!
Yeah, it counted points.
Oh.
You're just gonna keep doing wired hits.
Hey, they're working. I don't even go like I don't go as far as saying they're wild hits because you know there is calculation here. You know, it's not even just like that last shot. Yeah, I winged the last one. You know, it's not downplay my potential achievement here. You know. Oh, bad angle. Oh, bad. Oh. Good defense by me. Very good setup. Please roll, clear the ball. Thank you. Boy, that's close. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
You spun that 7.
Oh my goodness. That is so hard. Wow. Like, it was like denied. Like, Shaq put his hand out of that hole and like denied that shot. Okay. Ah, you really gonna catch the wall, huh? Catch the wall, huh? Yep, you hit the other ball. No, nothing counts.
I don't
Stop rolling. Stop.
care. Like, it was a tough shot anyway, so.
Yeah. Oh no! It's going into the hole!
I need to get you those side angles more. You can't hit side angles with anything.
I'm actually pretty good at hitting sides. The problem with me is I'm normally off by just a quarter of an inch and ends up sitting the complete opposite direction. You know? Like I said, you know, like 2 rounds of this would have been fine. You know, not this whole, oh boy. You know, as I am literally sitting here thinking in the back of my mind, I was like, God. like, I am now officially convinced that the other viewer that is on my stream is a robot. Because there's so many better things I'm going to be doing with their time right now.
Hey, I'm enjoying this.
So am I. But I'm like, that's how many more productive things I'm going to be doing right now. There's nothing coming
Well,
out
if
of
you're
this.
gonna try to be productive, you shouldn't be on YouTube. Like, I feel like that's your #1 fare there.
Wow, that could actually been a nice trick shot. Exactly. There we go. Nice. Here we go.
And up it goes.
Oh God, don't hit that, please.
He just right into the green ball.
Boy, I don't know if I can do this, man. Boy. I don't think it's gonna work, coach.
Wherever it's going, it's gone.
Oh, okay, wait. There we go. Boy.
Right off the table. You even get a bounce.
Yeah. I missed. That's all I go. Man, I have a magnet to that hole, man. Am I still win this game? 29. I'm actually beating you. Look at that. Wow, no hard there, buddy. You almost tagged it down that side pocket over there. That'd have been nice. Would have been nice.
Nice shot.
Not the corner I was aiming for, but I will take it. Let's put that there. Aw, bad angle. Just too hard, probably. You know a game we really need to get? We need to get a bowling game. I suddenly had the violent urge to ball for some odd reason. I don't know.
Nice shot. Thank
you.
No, I think I still might be able to win this.
You'd have to sink both these balls to win. So in theory, all I gotta do is just do this.
And fail.
Sean, I thought you had to do like, here, you wanna win? Did you wanna win? Here, let me help
All I
you.
have to do is let you win.
Why would you let me win? Why would you let me win?
Because I know you can't get a shot like that at all.
Like, it's like, I can imagine you staring on the other end of the table, staring like, do it! Take a shot! Do it! Impress Master. Alright, you made this about as easy as it could be. I'm going to still manage to mess this up. Yeah, do it! Make the shot! Impress us all! You gotta drive her in the middle. No one was harmed in the making of this game. Good shot, thanks.
Do it! I dare you.
That's nice. I wish I could see my. Good night. There we go. Hi. Come back. Okay. Hiya.
He knocked one of the balls off the table.
It failed so hard. Oh my goodness. No one gets that point. Okay, good. I was like, you want to think more trick shots, don't you?
The funny thing is, the ball you knocked off the table, I don't see it crossed out. You might have
Unless it put it
broke
back on
the
the table,
game.
maybe.
I'm gonna go, you broke
We
the
do a quick
game.
ball count real quick. Just do a quick ball count real quick. Shot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I can't count that many. I can't read the fine print to confirm.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Bomb
8,
it.
9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 minus what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ah, they're moving.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. And I sent the poll cue again, by the way.
Ah, it's all fine.
Hey, let me just give you a good shot here. I was hoping you were gonna hit the ball that I did that one time where the ball just wouldn't roll. I guess it's not gonna get enough juice.
I don't know who I'm aiming
I
for.
love trick shots. Red ball.
Red ball? Okay.
Red ball. Trick shot. You're not gonna. Wow, you actually can clear it. Oh, I can try it now. Yay, me. I could do this.
In sync.
Listen, man, I got like a magnet, man. Every time I go to shoot, I'm playing with a loaded cue ball here. You know, there's some machinery inside of it that magnet to the corner pocket.
Did I get it?
Not a bad shot, but you leave me a fun shot now.
No, I was close.
Hey, look it up. Hey, look it again.
You almost got one in the hole as well.
I was gonna say, just fall. Hey, did I win? I win? I lose? What?
I have no clue. I guess I won. Don't ask me how.
I don't know.
You sunk it!
Oh my goodness. I'm like the equivalent of like SpongeBob's like brother that every time he touches something it explodes. Here, let me just. Okay, you gotta sing it.
Sing
It's so
it!
bad for me and I care. Do it.
Yes!
Like, why are you aiming at the corner pocket? Like, yeah, I'm going to do what you do. You're welcome. Sorry, not being able to hit the ball. Blue ball's in the back. You gotta clear. You gotta clear all the balls.
Dang it.
Oh, you missed. Okay.
Just gotta
Okay,
hit the
blue ball,
blue
my
ball. Right here. Right there.
Let's go hit the blue ball. Okay.
Just hit the
Okay.
blue ball. That's the
Hit
black
the
ball.
blue
Hit the
ball.
blue ball.
Hit the ball.
Nope, that's no ball.
Shh, shh. Oh God, I didn't do it. Hey, look, you win. I won. What? I won. Hey, I won.
I think the game's getting tired of all BS.
I won though. Look at that. Look at that. It lit up and I think I hit an official. Who hit that? I pointed to you.
Your
Oh,
turn.
no hit. Wow. Oh, okay. You're so nice. Okay. Bonsai. Do it. Make the shot. Impress us all.
I think the game's giving up on us. It's like, I know you're not taking it seriously.
No, we're timing out. The game's doing the thing where like it's run for so long it doesn't know what to do.
It's like, if you're not going to take it seriously, I'm not going to take it seriously.
Almost. But the weird thing is, like, I hit the ball off the table and then I won. Like, I did good. I found the Mountain East for a pole.
The trick
Apparently, I've achieved my.
the trick to pool is not actually being good at pool. It's about hitting the ball off the pool table.
As hard as you can. Unless the goal is to have the least amount of lights lit up, then I'm actually losing, which would technically make sense because I've lost, like, technically, in my opinion, the past two.
Mm-hmm.
Really? Okay, good shot here.
Yep,
Got
just
the good shot,
that
guys.
edge shot. You can do it.
So I'm good on those shots. If you put me at a reverse angle, I can always get them. Now, this. No. Really taking my time. I probably could have gotten it, but I want to watch balls explode. Hello, Mr. Balls. Yeah. Wow, that almost actually would have won if it wasn't tipped by the purple ball.
You got cheated.
No, I do it to myself. So my doctor tells me.
It would be a perfect shot if you can hit it.
Where'd it go?
It went in.
I did good. I didn't even see the result. I was like, I just know the ball didn't come back around the table. I was like, maybe it went in. Yeah. Too sharp. You're welcome. Enjoy hugging those other balls. Trick shot! Trick shot! Trick shot! Rocket Man! Your ball's gonna leave the atmosphere. Hey, you can actually clear. You're not gonna clear the ball. Okay.
It's exactly what I wanted. I wanted to clear it out so you could make the shot.
I still missed
it. That was great. It had just the right backspin too.
I know, I guess it hit the ground. And rubber met the pavement. It came back at me. I was like, oh goodness. Hey, look at you making good trick shots.
Oh, it had just the right backspin.
Now, wonder to miss to say I completely planned that.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I drew it up. this is the recommended shot. Let's see what happens.
I think you had a little too much for power on that recommended shot.
I did, but I didn't think it was going to leave the table. Like my projection was not pointing arrows upward into the sky. You know? Wow, that's great.
Nice.
There,
Nice
thank
arm.
you. There we go. Yes. I will love scoring with all these little balls. Where to go? Okay,
No.
It's not scored. I like surprising myself because like I won't turn the camera after I shoot the ball to see if it comes back around. Like, it didn't come back around. Maybe it went in. It's like Christmas every day for me. Okay. Great setup. My recommended shot here. That's even at the wall. That's what the worst second. I leave the other one again and I get another one.
Maybe that's what happens if you leave the atmosphere. They count it as such a good shot. Yeah, let's put a backspin on that.
Oh my goodness! As you did that, ooh, great shot. 5 stars. Because like the moment you did that, like your line was like pointing over there to the other table. Like you're gonna go play with them over there. Hey guys, would you mind if I join? What ball do you need? No, you need the red ball, orange ball. I went nowhere.
Oh, I almost touched it. You almost got one in.
I technically did.
Did you? Oh,
Yeah.
you did. Oh,
I get to go
wow.
again. I get to go again.
No. But line me up nicely.
Yeah, nicely.
How many points do I have? I'm not the one in need of points. You're
We're
like,
not here.
you're like, but I could just shoot it off the ledge again and
We're
win.
not here to compare scores, okay? We're here to have fun.
And I'm
Unless I'm
having
winning.
all the fun.
So am I. Yeah.
Nope. Yes, right there.
Is that what you wanted the whole time? I mean, you could do it. Oh. Oh, I guess I'll.
Come on, you
Put
can
it
do
in.
it. All you have
Do
to
it.
do is hit that ball first.
It's like, do it. Impress us. Take the shot. Bad shot.
It's okay, I got this. I got
You can beg it off the wall and make it come back. Oh, goodness. Oh, I think I just heard someone die.
this. He just like bounced off the ball. Killed someone.
Gunshot, like, yeah.
Just bounced off the ball, kill someone. How many points did I just go behind? 2. I could do that. I could catch that.
The good thing is, I'm beating you by 2.
Not anymore.
Oh, really? And
I
just
just-
like that, that viewer left. Goodbye! They came, they saw, they heard the gunshot, and they're like, oh god, run! Boy, where's that ball going? What kind of Looney Tune method are we watching here?
I just wanted to give myself a really tough angle.
Like, if you were to ever edit these videos and post edit, anytime that happens, you need to have like the Roadrunner sound. Anytime your ball just. That's what I imagine every time that ball just revs up whenever it's. Too bad. Oh, I could have really nice if I could attack that.
It's okay, I'm gonna give it a nice spin off the side.
What kind of shot are we going for here? Oh my goodness. Are we just practicing our trick shots now? I mean, hey, by all means, you know.
Doing.
Here, I'll give you a trick shot opportunity here to put it in that corner pocket over there. Or the ball is about to leave the atmosphere. One or the other. As I've said before, I am convinced the longer we do this, the more I am convinced that my second viewer is a robot.
Nah, this is good. This is good. I was about to say, I just looked over and I actually have 8 viewers watching.
Good shot. Oh, you don't want to pull me and think the ball too? Oh. Can he do it? Too hard, Skippy.
No, perfect.
Gosh, keep rolling. Gosh, keep rolling. Come on, keep. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Right
Oh,
next
boy.
to each other.
And I thinking. Oh boy, that's me in a nutshell. I need to beat you. I don't want to go another round. Can I sit here and let you beat me? Good shot. Come on, set me up, baby. I need to end this now. God, you're slaughtering me. Oh, why is the angle so bad? I need to like sink all 4 of these balls to win. Oh boy. No! How did you win? No, I can still win. I'm still in the game, baby. Still in the game. I think. If not, the game just. Wow, I guess Lona just turned on the heat. Get a little toasty in here.
End game.
Yeah, as I say, are we not going to end this game? Is making me play? Like, oh, you want to, like, die, huh? You want to just roast inside? Oh, God, I go there, into the corner pocket.
It's okay, I think he gave yellow a tough hit for me.
Yeah, I gave you a good shot. No, there we go. Look at you at the bullseye. You much to set your second shot up though, but wow, there we go. We're leaving the stratosphere. Oh my, great shot! Wow, that was a great shot. Once again, I'm sorry, did you just hustle me? Did you just hustle me? I went to the last game and then I'm going to like slaughter you. I'm not going to miss a shot. I'm sorry, did you just like crank up like a bot or something here? It's just...
I grabbed that viewer that you lost.
Hanky! Oh boy, here we go. Ah, very nice. Get in there, yes. I get to shoot again. Let's see, if we do this, we can bring these all the way back down here. Oh boy. Oh boy. Hey, let me just set you up with a shot here, and don't mind me. You said you wanted to win? Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Where's the cue bar go? I knocked it off the table.
Yeah, went into the hole. Aiming for... I actually have to like stop moving to find out what ball you're aiming for. You're aiming for red. I could probably put her in. Oh my goodness. I could probably put her in from here.
Yep. Here you might have
It's just,
to
it kind of
top
sucks.
4.
You can't.
Yep.
You can't like move your angle to say. Hey, no, bad angle. No, bad.
And shockingly, you're winning right now.
Don't jinx it. Okay. What I could do. I could do this. You go in?
No.
Nope. Dang. I was hoping to put it in that middle pocket. Draw that shot. Trick shot! Trick shot! There we go. Someone on the other table. Why'd you hit me in the ankle?
Oh, I almost hit it though.
My preferred shot. Shot. You know, that's the same at the wall here. What's the worst that can happen, right? I know I drew that up, but hey. Like my brain was like, if I hit this here into this ball, that green ball should go all the way down to the corner. Good shot.
Ding.
I think I drew it up that way, but good shot. Too hard. And then it goes in and I'm like, yeah, maybe not hard enough.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I recommend more wash out there. That's... Yes.
Trick shot. Trick
Okay.
shot. You gotta get it over 2.
Rocket Man!
Oh, you got it over 1 though.
There's no way that ball was going to clear all 3. It's just not possible.
Point.
Must be nice. This is points for you.
Points for you. Let's do a wired kickoff of this one.
I'm guessing it's that.
Here
it's
it is,
Sunday,
your
that's not really
oyster.
weird.
What?
Is it? Wow, I do cut. I'm just getting up all these lovely notifications across my phone that of all these top fan badges I am now accruing.
You are number 1. We're actually 2 hours over right now. We're over 2 hours. Not 2 hours over. That'd be insane.
I know we should only have 30 minutes. Well, I mean, technically we go as far as you go. I mean, like I said, I don't have a limit that I put on my videos.
Beautiful shot.
Do it. Make it. Impress us.
Yay!
Impress the masses.
Hey, we're tied.
Are we though? Because I've been like curving it so sharp all game. I'm like, I'll just hit it pretty much square and we'll see what happens. Not entirely square, but
I hit it so hard the purple ball went into the hole and bounced out.
let's see what my recommended shot is there. Are you gonna aim me at the wall here? Too short. Just the angle's bad. I screwed that all up. I guess the trick question is that viewer sticking around for you, or did they already leave?
What view? I have no viewers.
You said you picked up the one. You joked that you picked up the one that decided they were going to leave me potentially.
Oh no, I was talking about the
Or
bot.
are you joking? No, my bot's still here, and he left me.
He loves you.
He hasn't left yet. Oh my goodness! Great! Ah, look at you! I have now no choice. When it's my turn, I have no choice. I must make the ball leave the atmosphere. Nope, I won't win by default. It's like pretty much I win because I can't find the cue ball. Pretty much. I'm gonna take my cue ball and I'm gonna go home.
Unofficial rule: if we can't find the cue ball, you win. There's 3 balls on the table. Yep, the game's officially broken. I only see 2 balls on the table, but the game's telling me there's 3. Do you see that? I see. Is that just me, or is there... Yeah, we lost the ball. That must have been the ball that hit like early in the game. Yeah. The one that you bounced off the table that I was like, I don't know if the game knows how to handle that. Because regularly you can bounce the cue ball off, but you bounce the A numbered ball, that's pretty impressive.
Good shot.
So the question now
So
is,
you
will the
won.
game end?
Would you be hitting a cue ball around for all eternity?
No, it ended. Whew.
Good game.
Rematch! Rematch!
No more insanity. No more insanity.
Let's go lobby settings. Let's see. What do we want? If you want to continue.
Let's do a different game. Different game.
Epic
New
win!
So we got 30
One
minutes. I mean,
online
we can do
mode.
poker. We can go do Uno. I don't know. I think if I do.
Do we
Uno
have
for
30 minutes?
Might miss.
We have 30
Yeah.
minutes for 3 hours.
That's up to you then. You said you wanted to potentially do 3, but that's up to you.
Yeah,
It don't matter.
we can
either
do
way.
3. I don't care.
How about 4? Let's do 4.
I mean, no one's watching.
But you know that's the perk of YouTube. It's not what happens today. It's what happens, like a week from now, a month from now, a year from now.
No one's gonna watch a 3-hour video that is thumbnail to be Zelda, is titled to be a bad night, and is 3 hours long.
You'd be surprised. As long as it's in your archive and you become like a YouTube star or something, People go back and archive your video, and then everyone's like, "Well, watch it,"
I'm almost certain I wouldn't watch this video now.
But then you just all you gotta do is just relabel it "Casual Game Night" with some insanity.
Plus 3 hours.
Excuse me, pardon me. Well, I said we got 2 minutes to decide what our last game should be.
Well, I'm in poker already. I'm entering poker.
No, you already booked the poker. I'm exiting match against my will. All right. Those lovely viewers that are still sticking around,
I just won $1 million.
Poker, Good
Thank-
for you.
Thanks for switching my account to Geico.
Well, for those lovely viewers that are sticking around, feel free to follow us up on there. Off to poker.
No, I don't want. Oh, wait. Is that me creating one? Yeah, that's me creating one. We could do a head-to-head.
And I still stand by that that viewer's a robot, dude. It has to be. It has to be like what's happening with your Twitch where you got 2 botted viewers because there's no way someone's sitting around watching this. Unless it's what's his name? I don't know. Like I said, it could technically be a real person, but I don't trust the odds. I just don't trust it. You'd have to be back cramping thing. Go and put a poker. Poker? I don't even know her. I must label it porker. Here, porker here. Okay, there we go. Now we're broadcasting. Darn, you missed my Peter Parker joke there. It's loading. You gotta be patient.
No!
You gotta spam me.
Join!
And then the server's gonna crash.
You join now! You're my favorite friend!
You're my best friend! You're my best friend! Gotta load. Ricky Bobby.
I kind of just want to ping AK-47 and the one guy, the hour guy, and be like, you joined with me. I know you're watching Netflix, but come join. Are you in?
It's loading though. Typically it's like a 45. Yep, there we go. Failed to attempt to invite. Okay, try again now.
Why are
Let me
you
get my daily
failing
cut
to
real quick.
accept?
So I accepted, but remember it's gotta go through like that intro thing. Where is my? If I'm not getting my daily cut. Oh, there it is. Nope. Nope. There it is. Anyway, we missed it by 30 minutes too. We could have got like a double dip. Yeah. OG horses loaded.
Yay!
Nathan Polka. Can I get a hell yeah?
I keep forgetting I'm actually streaming this. I should not just. Oh, somebody popped in for a quick second. Be sorry for them.
And then they immediately left. Come back, viewer. We need you.
But you know, I regularly. Actually, I don't know if you even know this. Whenever we're playing poker, I'll spin the camera just around the table over and over again.
Oh, gotcha. You just keep spinning it.
So I was starting to do that. I was like, wait, I'm streaming. I can't just do what I want to do.
Oh, you could. You'll probably get like someone sending you like a throw emoji every time you do it.
Come view Solagna's channel. He plays poker in the spinning tumbler. You know that amusement park ride where they spin you really fast? Yeah, he likes playing poker during those rides.
I think my Twitch is either acting up here or let's get it done. Come on, come on, come on.
Got a possible straight on the table.
I went to pull it out. I was like, I don't trust this hand. There it goes.
I'm not going to bet that much on a possible straight. Oh, that's how I do it. Small table, though. Number one's 1.8, or was 1.8.
That's nice.
Or not 10.8. They were 1.8 thousand. That's it. we came in with 10,000, but with their 1.8, they were still number one.
That's just like, where'd all the money go? It's like someone took everyone's money and then immediately booked it. Mm-hmm.
2,000. Ooh. Santa Claus on vacation is wanting money.
Oh, Sandy Claus.
He got some money.
And he won. Oh, I actually won a whole 10K. Look at that. It's funny, like, the, goodbye, viewer. We'll miss you! Yeah, he stuck around for like 10 seconds and immediately, like, hopped on the train out of town. I was gonna say, as I'm scrolling, that the chick that's got, like, the red glasses next to you, it's like demonized if you scroll really slowly. Or either an insect or the other. It's obviously glasses, but, like, when you just... iPhone!
Now that I see it, you can't unsee it.
It's just that, like the head bob. Hungry, hungry.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot this game has little emojis.
Oh no. Oh no. Goodbye, other viewer. I guess it wasn't a robot all along. Look at that.
Nah, you bored the robot.
I had to have to go charge. Back in like 30 seconds. Here to serve.
Here to make you feel like you have value.
Well, like my stream lagged, so I reset when I refreshed the page, right? So my brain was like, okay, wait for it. Oh, it's back. Okay, that's good. It's back. Okay. it was maybe my stream that was doing it. That was probably the reason why. That's funny. That's how technology works in my head. That's a bad hand. That's fold.
I got double aces.
Yeah, is there something worth playing? Oh, and the viewer's gone again. Bye!
What? You raised
And my stream's not lagging, so. Hey, what's a person?
You raised me 500. I raised you 800. What? You raised me 800? No, you just called.
It's like then the viewer leaves. I'm like, I feel so naked without you.
I gotta
Not
say,
like that,
I've
no.
never felt that way with my viewers.
Not like that, you know.
You are like my clothes.
You are my sheep's wolf. I am not wolf without sheep's hair. Like, what are you even talking about anymore? I don't know. Words. Words. That's awkward. Someone was actually watching me, though. I feel kind of bad. They weren't commenting, though, so... Oh, I don't know.
I wanna take her home. Ah.
They're probably like, pool's entertaining, poker, not so much.
Dang it. She took me home.
Ah, queens over aces. Oh,
No,
that
3
sucks.
queens.
I know 3 of queens, I know. That's what I mean.
I thought I was about to take her home. I was like, woo.
Oh. We need to hurry. We need to play a more exciting game to get the viewer back.
Quick, to zombies.
No, that's how technology works in my head. Suddenly they'll get a little ping to their whatever device, whether it's like if it's a follower or not. Like, oh, he's playing something actually worth watching.
No, in your head, it's not even a follower. You think Twitch is just tracking them going, oh, we know what they like. If he ever switches back, we notify him.
It's like, I become Roger Rabbit at the beginning of the first scene. I'll give you stars! I'll give you stars! Look! I got a... I'm gonna lose 10k, man.
Why?
Are you still in the game? Or
Yes.
did you fold out?
No, I
Okay,
folded.
oh, I got 2 pair. I got 4s and jacks. But like my luck, she's got the 3rd jack, 3 of a kind. Come on. I don't want to raise because I don't want to. Ah, good for you.
She had the higher pair.
Look, the demon got me. Good for you.
She look like what is it, a gremlin?
Exactly. Looks like an insect queen. And then you check the profile picture of the player and you find out like some dude like, oh, that's cool. Not awkward. I have the butthead woman from Beavis and Butthead to America. I love you. And come to Butthead.
I got a pair of 8s.
I folded. I know I got,
Hint why I told you.
10 2 offs.
Hint why I told you what I had. I didn't
Good
go.
observation. Oh, I'd have a pair of 2s.
Let's see
Because
if
you
I
got
can.
3 8s, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can carry people with me.
Yeah, you got a good run. I bet there's a good chance you'll pick up your 4th ace, your 4th 8 here.
My 4th ace. I totally
How'd you
forgot
pull
about
that
the 3 in my sleeve.
Exactly. Which is funny because you don't have like accessible sleeves, so like you've been jiggling your arms like as cards are falling out. Don't mind me. Like Bandit Keith from Yu-Gi-Oh! Just pull him out of your your bracelet. And then he's got like one follower at least. Full health. You got full health.
No, I don't.
Is that they say you got 3 8s?
I have 2 full houses.
Huh?
I don't know where he's playing. Unless he has the opposite. Would
No.
that...
He's got the 4 queens.
That would be my luck, but we'll find out.
He's got a queen and a...
Nope.
3 queens. Ah, you got the full house. Okay.
I was like...
Hey, look at you winning 10 gag.
I was like, I don't know what he has unless he has the opposite. He has 1 queen and 1 8.
I'm like, he'd obviously have the 3 queens if you're gonna write it out. He's trying to bluff you. How many more drinks am I trying to get? I'm trying to get rid of all the extra stash stuff that I have that I don't like.
Okay, I was like, please complete that sentence.
How
How many more drinks do I have to have before I feel successful?
I got 241 hands left of this. Oh man. Why did I buy so many? Because you got
There you go.
You got, what?
But yeah, another
we
refill.
You're so nice, thank you. You know the thing though is, I think you just bought me 100 refills. Because now I have like 300 drinks left and I had 200. It's like, good, I'm finally gonna work my way through these drinks and get rid of them. I look and I got like 300 now. I'm like, I got 316 now. Thank you. I think you bought me like 50 shots there. Thank you. I'll have another. Gosh, it's even like, wow.
It's okay. I have 890 on the tutorial drink.
That's the one I'm talking about. I'm trying to get rid of it, and it keeps coming back. That's why I'm like, give me another round. I know you can just like instead of gifting the whole table, you can gift one person. I want to see how many more if you gifted it to me. I wonder how many it would shoot up.
Or it costs me money to do such, and I don't know how to gift
I think
specific.
it's only like there's a way to do it. I can't remember how to. I think it just target you. I think from the table.
Oh, yep, I see.
That's not it.
I see. There you go.
Okay, that's how many more I have now. Thank you. I'm getting another 50 drinks. Thank you.
Okay.
500 tokens just bought me 50 shots. That's nice. Like, I'm trying to get rid of it. It's like, yeah. Oh, internet lagged again. That's cool. So, like, if you get, like, really bad crunches on the sound area, you know what happened.
Did I win? I won.
Filipino coladas. Okay,
I'm gonna have to win because I bought like, what is it, 3,000 in refills now?
You gave me another refill. One refill from Sarah Legna. Quit buying me drinks. Quit buying me drinks. If you're gonna buy me drinks, let me put on my more expensive drink.
No, because I can't afford that.
Oh no, I lost my only viewer, which was me. Oh, sad I am.
You don't even support yourself.
Well, I can't because the internet went out. Oh. Wow, I just got a good run here. I just need one more card.
Let me guess.
Well, it's actually like
4?
like stuff like this I don't even like upload to YouTube. This is like Twitch only stuff that I do pretty much. Like Call of Duty I don't upload to Twitch. I mean YouTube. Like if you had that one program perfected where it could bunch everything, right? Without, well, you said you said you think it's a memory issue, but I'm not entirely sure I would agree with that because both of ours crashed at the same exact point.
Well, I'll have to look into it. The only issue is it's going to be
Then I'll
looking into
consider
their code.
I got nothing. I rolled this hand for nothing. I think everyone's just been checking though. I haven't really been paying attention to them actually.
Yeah,
paying money
everyone's
or
been
not for
checking.
this hand. Thank you.
I'll let you get out.
All I needed, thank you. All I needed was a 2. Was what I needed. All I needed
Oh,
was a
yes.
2 to have a straight. And I'm sitting here like I had that at the flop though. So I'm sitting here, all I gotta do is just pick up a 2. Yay, you. Yeah, you could have been like a complete like douche and just like checked it where I couldn't get out of the hand. Like I want to fold. I don't want to go. I don't want this hand to come down as a loss.
Well, I also wanted to net a little bit more money on it. When did you win? Oh no, never mind. Never mind.
You won.
For whatever reason, when it went to the girl beside me, where her chip value was, it looked like it was pointing to your head. I was like, when did you get 11,000?
In my heart, I did, man. In my heart, I did. I'm always a winner.
You won. I bought you drinks.
All right, now I'm about to get my one viewer back. My one viewer's about to be coming back online. Shh. Don't crush my hopes and dreams and aspirations.
It's okay. I have one viewer.
Really? Like, legitimately?
No, it's just me.
I'm my own best friend.
I think, I don't know why, but I think YouTube, if you're playing the one in like the video live stream manager thing, it detects that and goes, oh, you have a viewer. And it's like, no, you don't. Don't lie to me, YouTube. I mean, I don't mind because it sways the watch time and everything, but...
Right, exactly. Well, I don't know. I may have technically had 2 viewers the entire time. Because, like, my number's not going up.
Possible.
And I thought about myself how I could, like, bloat my numbers to help get that, Man, I'm gonna really let it ride on one card. Let's do it. Oh, there it is. There's the one. And I failed. And I failed. I'm sorry, I'm not losing any more money, sir.
Half of me wants to find out what he has.
Nah.
It's too
I don't have
much.
anything. If I picked up a heart, I would have gotten the flush, but
I had a 4.
this wasn't
I had
me.
a 4, so I had a pair of 4s. He had an ace. What did he have?
Well, I guess the thing is, like, what could he have?
I'm guessing
Maybe
a
a full house?
6. He couldn't have had the 4 house with the ace.
Be a third of a kind?
That's what I'm guessing with the 6. 3 6s. Oh, did you like the beast number in Bad Omens or Good Omens?
Yeah, that was kind of that was pretty good. That was how they did it. That was cool.
Oh yeah, I was like, that is beyond genius writing.
Yeah, like I said, the writing in it was actually really good. That's the reason I'm very disappointed. I mean, like I said, there's no telling. I mean, they
The
could probably do
the
another
writing
season,
was
but-
good. The two main characters were like phenomenal as like actors. The
Oh, yeah, they played off each other like really good. They were definitely one of those.
I didn't
documentary
realize
type
it
situations
until I
where-
was in the middle
Doctor
of
Who, right?
yeah, in the middle of like the second episode. I realized it because he said no, and I was like, wait, I know that no. That no sounds oddly familiar.
If that season's on Amazon Prime, in the back of my mind, I was like, I think I recognize him as that. Because typically, like if I watch like any kind of show for a few episodes or whatever, and the chance comes up to check their biography or whatever to kind of get an idea of who they do, what they do, how they, to see what else they've been in. I was like, oh, he was in Doctor Who. I'm like, I bet that just rattled your feathers a little bit.
To me, I think they made an excellent choice on the character.
Yeah.
And a straight. Ah, 2 straights. I had the higher
Yeah, but-
straight. I should have gotten that.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just like that's what's kind of disappointing. I was like, they didn't like put it into a situation where it would be an obvious second season.
Well, they did, and then they reverted everything they did,
Exactly.
which I like.
How about the body swap at the very end?
Oh, the body
how
swap
was that?
caught me totally off guard.
I know. I initially thought, I was like, oh my goodness, they've transcended.
That's what I thought too. I was like, are they like the true like deities of God? And like,
Yeah, exactly.
oh,
Wasn't that? I mean,
Because-
they could have went that route, or they could have just went the whole. They would have just been the chosen ones for their.
because from the sound of it, it sounded like God was on their side anyways.
It
Every-
kind of felt like.
Every time she talked, she never like gave them like a hard time. She was like, "Oh yeah, this is how this is going on," and I'm like, "Are you on it for them? Or are they like following your rules?"
Mm-hmm.
But like, I really like that they did the like I guess anti-sequel trope. But
Yeah.
it was like. It's the one show I wanted not to have the anti-sequel.
No, exactly. I was like,
Like it's really cool because like they get the new book and instead of playing it on as a new sequel, it's like trash it, we're burning it, we're not following this. I'm like, awesome, but then nothing. Of course, they do hint at a sequel at the very, very end. But it's such a slight hint that it's like it's not even really worth it. When they say it's basically like, so what's the next plan? And they're like, well, it's going to be us against them. And he was like, oh, humanity against angels and demons.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, ooh, interesting. But
Personally, I hope it doesn't go that route. Though. Like, honestly, I'd rather just end there, be done with it. Great series, great 6 episodes, blah blah blah. Because, in my opinion, Supernatural did that, and that drew. I didn't like that curveball that it threw with it.
well, yes, it's most likely gonna go down that same path. It's very hard to make a continuous supernatural story without having the, oh, this is the case of this week's.
Mm-hmm. Well, the hand I was playing just completely backfired.
So I guess they could, if they really wanted to, you could do it. You could do it like American Horror Story, where instead of each episode being a different story, have it where each season is a different story.
They could.
Oh, I just won that with nothing good.
I folded because I had nothing. I had a pair of tens.
I mean, I had nothing, but I was like, I'll just keep checking if everyone's gonna check. I literally had nothing. But we got 8 minutes left on this.
But the good thing is you're gonna have your Switch on or on your trip, huh?
Yeah.
So you're gonna at least have a chance to
I'm gonna have a
games
5-hour
knocked out.
drive, or a 5-hour flight, so
Like,
definitely gonna have my Switch.
That'd be nice.
If I could get a digital copy of Good Omens, I would have that. I'm sorry, that would be a show I'd be willing to rewatch.
Mm-hmm. When you go up to Canada, you're gonna watch it up there.
Most likely, I'll most likely force.
Have you have you at least mentioned it yet, or is that gonna be the surprise? This is what we're going to watch against your will.
I think I mentioned it, but I'll most likely force her.
Mm-hmm. In a good way, obviously, because I'm like it's worthwhile. I mean, it's not bad.
Well, I've forced her to watch
funny,
a few things already. How much are you willing to bet? Oh, you're gonna call it?
You pair and you win. Look at you! Look at you win all the money tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can get off with this kind of roll, man.
Nah, I still got packing to do and stuff. This is just countering all the times I've lost over and over again.
I don't know. Every time we play, like right before, like pretty much like the halfway point to the end, you always like get on these like nasty win streaks. I think this might be my hand. I might actually have a hand worth playing here. I haven't won one all night. So.
You won't have to worry about me. I'm folding out.
I got a pair of jacks. Give me a jack on the flop. Give me a jack on the flop. Nothing. The good thing is only 3 kings can beat me. In theory, or a pair of kings, technically. Oh. Why didn't fold and give me a win? Let me feel good about myself. Why are you going to do that? Let's go big or go home, Belly.
Ooh! I think she's gonna think you have to flush. Ooh!
She's got the pair of kings.
Yep.
Come on, baby. Give me the jack. Give me the jack.
Mm.
Oh. She's having number twice. Bug-eyed woman.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just buy for another hand or whatever. Maybe I get lucky and get a nice. I trusted the jacks. I was like,
Yep, there's my vacuum.
Good. Yeah, you can watch my stream at the very end, and you can hear it in the background. And then you can know what I'm saying. And then it's like, okay, so for that's like 5 to 10 minutes of stuff to stay on, just so you can give enough audio with it going around your apartment. And then I can clarify that, like, there's no volume thing, no audible thing.
Okay, it's near my ball right now.
Okay, it went away a little bit. Maybe you grabbed your mic and you walked up. There it comes. Coming back. Getting louder.
It's coming back. Try to hit my duffel bag.
I'm glad the one person that was sticking around for the beginning decided to leave here. They'd be really annoyed right now. Like, man, when did the waterfall come?
I'm just having to keep an eye on it because I have stuff on the ground because I was packing.
Suck up your throat.
Or it's less on it being sucking up something like it's not supposed to. It's more on it sucking up something it can't suck up and then breaking.
And you're probably not the same reaction I have whenever you listen to the audio. Like, wow, it really is that loud. Like, how? It makes no sense. That hand again, I'm not doing good at all tonight.
Plus I have my bedroom door open, so I might have to quickly get up to move it. No. Get out of my bedroom. Nope. You're not supposed to go in there. Come back here.
Yeah. Bad Roomba. Bad.
No. Get out. There you go. No. There you go. Can't get in my bedroom. I don't have that cleaned up yet enough for you to go swinging about in there.
Bad Roomba. Bad.
You can go into the kitchen, but you can't go into my bedroom. But I'm gonna end my stream soon. I got a minute left.
Bad Roomba. Bad.
I'm waiting for this minute to get up. I have a solid 3 minutes. Or 3 hours, not 3 minutes.
I guess that's what we'll be calling it quits for the day then.
Yep. Bye-bye, everyone.
I got a 66 boost.
Oopsie.
Yay me.
I ripped out my headphones, but hey, bye-bye, everyone.